Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, Internet world, and everybody here. So I'm not Deb Niemeyer, surprised though you may be.
You almost look like that.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment, but thank you, Sampai. I'm Autumn Bernstein. I'm a grad student and TTP representative. You guys all know me. I don't know why I'm saying that. But Deb Niemeyer is the professor this quarter for the seminars. She couldn't be here today, so she asked me to fill in. And it's my great pleasure to announce and to introduce our speaker for today, Melinda Livas, who is a physical sciences and engineering librarian here at UC Davis and a profession I'd never heard of before, an instructional technologist, and she's going to tell you what that means. But Melinda has 3 advanced degrees. She's got an MA in instructional technology. She's got an MLIS, that's a Master of Library and Informational Studies, and an MA in Mass Communication. So that's MS, MLIS, MA, or Ms. Lizma are the letters she has after her name. She's been a practicing librarian for 7 years. She came to UC Davis in April 2016. And she is the library liaison for ITS, as well as mechanical and aeronautical engineering, mathematics, and statistics. She's presented at several national conferences, and her areas of research interest include instructional design technology and online teaching and learning. So we're really excited to have her to give us an orientation to some of the amazing resources that the library provides for us. And I will turn it over to Melinda.
All right. All right, guys, let me see if I can deal with this little mic here.
Maybe just put this guy in your pocket.
Yeah. See if I can stick it over here. All right, so can you guys hear me? My voice is so monotone, I worry sometimes. All right, so I will go ahead and get started. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. Nice to meet everyone. And hold on here. Let's put this a little. Oh, I'm fine. If you guys are fine, I'm good. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. All right, so I will go ahead and get started. So again, I'm Melinda, and hopefully today I'm going to be sharing with you some resources for transportation studies and hopefully some other areas that covers my liaison areas. And I'm pretty laid back when I give speeches, so if you guys listen, if you have questions, just ask. Melinda, stop, do that again. And I'm going to try to go slow because I tend to talk fast. So I will try to slow it down. Like I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to ask. All right, so this is my contact information. Please write down my email and phone number. The best way to contact me is via email. I respond to my emails pretty much all the time, so that is the best way to contact me. If you call, I will respond, but it may be a day or so later because I'm more in tune to really check the email. So don't hesitate to email me. My rule of thumb is if you have spent the last 30 minutes trying to find something and you can't find it, that's it. Don't hesitate to seek help, right? Don't hesitate to contact me. Don't hesitate to give me a call. And if you're something that you just absolutely can't find, please don't hesitate to contact me because you guys are the reason why I'm here. So just a couple of the learning outcomes. I'm hoping you guys will take this away as we leave. I'm hoping that when we're done, you will really know how to access our holdings from off campus. Some of you may be familiar. We do have a new VPN, a virtual private network, that you will have to use. So I see some heads shaking, so I will just cover that briefly. You have to download the VPN in order to access any of our resources off campus. And for those of you, I know when you do your research, you need to be honest. I know Google is the first place you go to. We all go to Google. I mean, I love Google too. But I'm going to show you hopefully a smart way for those of you who have not experienced using Google Scholar. I will actually show you, Google has a program with libraries where you can actually link your content to our library holdings. And I'm going to walk you through and I'll show you how to do that, to set that up. And hopefully I will review some databases that are germane to transportation studies and some of the other areas. And then I will talk about a little bit about interlibrary loan in a little bit more detailed format for you. All right, so I always like to get started. ORCID ID, how many of you have an ORCID ID? All right, so several of you have an ORCID ID. What ORCID ID is, more and more publishers are going to request that you have an ORCID ID. What an ORCID ID is, it is a persistent digital identifier that links you and you only to your research. There's no ambiguity here. Once you create your ORCID ID, it links to you. And I am going to actually demonstrate some other things using the ORCID ID, and I'm going to show you how Altmetrics works as well. So when you use your ORCID ID and you're following research for yourself or anyone else that you may be following research for in your particular area of study, how you can actually use social media to measure and see what other entities are saying about research. So ORCID ID is becoming more and more popular. It is free. And like I said, it does give you a persistent digital identifier for your research. Scopus is also a resource that creates an ID for you if you decide to use Scopus and create a Scopus account. It's a database that's created by Elsevier, and Scopus will give you, if you create a digital ID, Scopus will do that as well. And I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. An altmetric is really kind of cool. Like I said, it's one of those features, whereas when you're conducting research, it'll actually allow you to measure what other people are saying about your research if they post it on social media, like, of course, Twitter and i.e. Facebook, what have you. So how many of you, you all know Giovanni, right? Most of you know Giovanni. So when I was preparing for this, he was the only one that I found in ITS that actually made his ORCID ID visible. Because you can create an ORCID ID, but you can make it private. So I'm going to just use his example, and I want you to I'm going to show you a couple of things in using an ORCID ID. So we're going to go to ORCID ID. I am going to do a search. So let's see here. I want to make sure I spell his name right, because they have a lot of Giovannis, believe it or not, with an ORCID ID. You would be surprised. All right, so we're just going to plug it in here. I'm going to just plug in his name. All right, so let's see what we have. All right, so when you create an ORCID ID, so it will give you a populated list of those that have ORCID ID. So let's see if I can close this puppy out here. All right, so I know we want number 1, because this is the person we're interested in. So let's see how his research is faring out and what he's actually into. All right, so when you log in, you just go to orchid.org, and on my subject guide, I actually have directions to show you how to create an ORCID ID to walk you through step by step. So everything I'm showing you here, I will show it on, I'll direct it to you to my guide so you can know how to do that. All right, so these are the resources, the works that he has created the last couple of years. And I know this is the right person, right, because he is also at Georgia at GIT, and he's here. So remember how I spoke of the Scopus ID? So he actually has created a Scopus author ID. So if you want to take a look at that interface, you can select Scopus ID. So hold on here. Let me shrink that just a tad. All right, so if you take a look at Scopus ID, because he has created both, this is the interface for Scopus. So it just gives you just a tad bit more information about his research and what he is interested in. And the library, we're going through this massive overhaul where we have actually redesigned our website. So just so you don't freak out, UC eLinks is our link resolver. It's going to link you to full text. So now it has been changed to UCD eLinks. So I'm hoping when we take a look at some of the databases, you'll see that. Some of you may have already, but as you see, it hasn't migrated to everything. All right, so this is his Scopus ID. And so that you get a chance to see what that interface looks like. So remember, I briefly spoke of altmetrics, right? So I want to see if anyone or anybody out there has actually tweeted, done anything on Facebook about his research, all right? So what you need to do for that, I am going to actually go to my little booklet here. I need to get the pop-up for altmetrics and put it in the browser. So I'm going to demonstrate how that works. And then we're going to go back to the actual article, and then I'm going to do altmetrics on that article so you could see how that lines up. All right, so on my search guide, I do have this information. I'm just going to grab this altmetric, and I'm just going to drag it up here to my bookmark so it could populate there. So now I see it's there. All right, so I got my altmetric there. So now let's go back to Giovanni's work. I am interested, I want to see who has followed him on Twitter or Facebook for this particular article. So one thing I do love about ORCID is that ORCID, once you populate your research in ORCID, it will give you a DOI, and what DOI is a digital object identifier. And most databases and most articles will have a DOI at the end. They're becoming more and more popular. And what that does, it allows you to access the resources a lot more seamlessly. So I always tell students, if a DOI is at the end of the citation, leave it. It's part of the citation. Don't delete it. All right, so let's go to the DOI. Let me see if I can get that to open here. All right, so this is the article I was interested in. So I want to see basically who has followed him or who has made content or comments about this particular article. So I'm actually going to go to my bookmark, and I'm going to scroll down to altmetric it because I just added it. And let's see if it'll actually do its thing here. So let me click it again. So we need to give it a few, so hopefully it will work. We will see here, and if not, I'll come back to it because sometimes it takes it just a few to populate. All right, so let's go back here. Let's try it again. I want you to altmetric this article. So let's see if it'll do it, and it's thinking. So if it doesn't, we will move on, but please remind me to come back to it because it's still trying to buffer here, and I want you to see how that actually works. I'm going to try it one more time. All right, so let's see here. Let's see if we can get it. All right, so it is not migrating here. So basically, like I said, it would give you a breakdown of if it was followed on Twitter, Facebook, and any other social medias. So remind me to come back to it, and I want to see if we can get it to populate. All right, so let's move on. It's a really nice feature. One of the nice things I do like about it is that if you write content and if a lot of people are following on Facebook or Twitter, that way you know really where to focus some of your work. You know, hey, I need to start following this because they're tweeting more and more about my research. So like I said, that's kind of like the cool part about altmetric. All right, so I want to try it one more time. I really want it to work because it's so cool when it works. All right, let's try it again. It's just not doing it. All right, well, we will come back to it. All right. So remember how I mentioned earlier, I spoke about how when you're doing your research from off campus, you have to have a VPN. And we're using now, it used to be something else, but we're using Pulse Secure. And in order for you to access any other resources from off campus, you have to download the VPN. When you're on campus, it's no worries, but when you're off campus, you have to do this. And on my page, I will actually have a link, and I'll show you that when we get to the research guide, that you can just follow these steps. How many of you are using Pulse Secure or have used it without any problems? So for those of you who are using it, is it more seamless than the one in the past, right? Okay.
It doesn't disconnect you all the time.
Ah, okay. All right. So, and one good thing about Pulse Secure, once you download it that one time, it's good to go. You don't need to keep re-downloading it. And I do want to show you, for those of you who haven't done it, this is pretty much what it looks like on your device. You'll get a little S on your phone, or you get it at the bottom, and that way you can see when you just need to connect, just hit connect and you're good to go. So that is the Pulse Secure. You have to download that, right, in order to access off campus. For those of you, I know when you're doing your research, the main place you go to is what? Google. You can be honest. I know we all go to Google. Google is an excellent place to start. That's no worries there. But let me tell you, you're spending money for the databases. We spend a lot of money on the databases. You need to use the databases as well. Don't let Google be your end all. Please don't do that. And I also recommend that you actually use Google Scholar and not just randomly search Google. Right? Because Google Scholar, it could give you a lot of hits, but it's a lot more targeted than just plain Google. Don't spin your wheels for Google. So if you are off campus and you want to search Google to link to our holdings, all you have to do is go to Settings. Once you go to Settings, select the link that says Library Links. Once you select Library Links, you just type in University of Davis, on University of California, comma Davis, right? And then you hit Save. When you do this, hopefully the WorldCat library search is already defaulted, which is a good thing because that's going to pull in resources from WorldCat, which is a really good database to use for research as well. So it should be defaulted. If it is not, check on it because you want that to be an all-encompassing search. And then we'll hit Save. So the same thing is applicable. Let's say you wanted to search Penn State Library Holdings and you wanted to see what they have shared with Google. You can put Penn State, you can put Harvard, you can put, I don't know, USC. So you can, whatever you decide, you can put in there. But, you know, we hope that you do UC Davis, so we're just going to save UC Davis. And so now, when I come here and I want to search Google Scholar, I can link to our holdings using Google Scholar. So I'm just going to do a quick search right quick. All right, and this is pretty much, let me shrink this. This is pretty much what your search will look like using Google Scholar. The downside to using Google Scholar, you don't get as many facets on the left to help you expand or minimize your search as you will with the databases, but you get some minimal things. It does have the nice feature, and I'll show you this when we do take a look at some of the databases. It does have a feature where it tells you how many times an article has been cited. I know some people particularly like to search specifically by how many times an article has been cited. I don't think that's a wise thing because you may come across an article that hasn't been cited that much for various reasons, and you're negating yourself of that really good research. So there's some pros and cons there. But the Google Scholar does list number of times an article has been cited. So that is a nice feature. Okay, so you see I have sheepishly made it back to my page because you can tell I really want this to work, right? I'm going to be so bummed if this does not work, and it looks like that's going to work. All right, so that's fine. So that's one of the things I do like about searching Google Scholar. So keep that in mind. All right, so I would be remiss of me if I did not pull in this shameless plug, but I have to. We, the library, we're one of the very few entities on campus that we have real estate in Canvas, which is kind of nice. So that means when you're doing your research in Canvas, when you're working in Canvas and you want to get to the library, you don't have to get out and open another browser. You can actually come here in Canvas and you see we have the nice little icon right there. It will link you to some pedagogical content, and there's some information there as well that will link you to the library. So if you're in Canvas and you need to get to the library, you don't have to open another browser. You could just go straight to the blue tab on the left and select the icon. All right, so now it's time to play. I want to see if you all have been paying attention. All right, so what I would like for you to do, get your devices out, your laptops, your phones, whatever. Get your devices out, and I'm going to set up my little quick assessment here, and I want to see if how you all have been paying attention. All right, so if you would, once you get your devices out, let me get going. And then I will give you some other instructions. And I love Kahoot. Kahoot is one of my favorite assessment tools that I love to play around with. All right, so once you get your devices out, get to a browser. And let's see here what I would like for you to do, and it's going to load in a second. All right, let's get on up here. All right, so if you would you just go to kahoot.it. So just go to your browser and just do kahoot.it. So once you get to Kahoot, it's going to ask you to put in to join with the game pin, and your pin, of course, is going to be 2818736. Once you do that, put in the nickname. And then once you get a nickname, I can't do anything until I see some players. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to get there. So we got 2 players there, so I'm going to give it a few. Let's see, 5. We're getting there. All right, so I'm just giving a few, so come on and join. So again, the code is 2818736. And then put in the nickname, hit go. And then, all right, so we got 17. All right, so I'm going to start the little mini quiz. And then now keep in mind, pay attention to the question. You're only going to get 30 seconds to answer this very tough question. But it's going to cover content that we just reviewed. All right, so are you ready? All right, so here is the question. What is the name of the VPN used at UCD? So your answer needs to correlate with the symbol. So on your device, you just select the symbol, and then we will see. So we have 21 answers. Woohoo! We're getting there, 22. And when time is up, it'll give us a little, time is up, it'll give us, yay, everybody got it right. Yay! So I love Kahoot. It's one of those little quick and easy assessments. So if you're TN and teaching a class and you want to wake everybody up, get them to Kahoot it. All right, and it is free, right? So it is free. We have to do free. All right, guys, so thank you for indulging me in my little Kahoot game. All right, so let's get back here. So,
Who got it wrong?
I don't know. Nobody got it. Oh, no. Oh, wow, that's a good call. I didn't see that. That's okay. So we know Pulse Secure is it. So, like I said, please make sure you get the Pulse Secure. All right, so I am going to, now it's time to get to the website. All right, so remember, guys, how I had mentioned, I'm going to close out some of these things. Remember how I had mentioned that we have a brand new website. How many of you have had a chance to go to the library's webpage and take a look at it? What do you guys think? Now, you need to be honest. The new one. Okay, I hear crickets. Okay. All right. So, and believe it or not, we migrated over to the new site over spring break. So that's why we kind of, they kind of did it in a little secret way, but we migrated over to the website over the spring break. So this is the new interface for the website. I am still getting used to it, but this is pretty much what it looks like, all right? So this is the website. All right, so when you get here, I'm going to basically, everything else that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you from the research guide that I created specifically for transportation studies, but I will show you how to access some other things as well. All right, so if you just happen to get to this page quickly, if you take a look, if you scroll down, and you need to search the library catalog. So if you come here, you hit the quick links for searching the library catalog. it will default to the library catalog, but I do want to just go over a couple of things. The everything button is really not everything. I wish they would change the terminology, but it's not everything. If you think of this in the terms of Google, that's what the everything button is. If you just did a basic Google search, it's going to pull what's in the library catalog and then other stuff that we have through our subscriber for the website. So it's going to really pull in a lot of stuff. So you just want to do, if you just want to do a search just to see what you're going to get, you can do everything. However, once you go to library catalog, you see that is the default. That's really where I would want you to go if you have to search the library catalog. Do the search in the library catalog, because what that is going to do is pull content that we actually have. Right? It's going to pull content that we actually have. So I am going to put in a quick search because I do want to go over a couple of things with you. And you will know this is going to be my current searching theme. So when I say I'm going to do a search, you know it's going to be traffic flow emissions. I don't know why I've been stuck on this term for a while, but I have. All right, so when you take a look at the catalog, things to just, be cognizant of. Green means we have it. Right? So it will tell you, yes, we do have it. If it is gold, we have it, but you need to be cognizant of where it's located. Right? So that means it's gold, we have it. You have to go to Shields. I was sharing with some of you guys earlier. It's kind of weird. We ran out of space at the Physical Sciences and Engineering Library. So some of the things that should be there for IT and for some of my liaison areas of mechanical engineering is over at Shields, where it should be at PSC. So when you look in the catalog is going to tell you exactly where it's located. So just pay attention to that and be cognizant of where it is. Now, yes. Okay, so let me show you. No, I really do want you to do that. So that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is just go back to here. So, and like I said, we did just migrate over to this new website, so everything is still iterative, meaning tomorrow this could change. I'm just being honest, right? But just for now, right? So if we just scroll down all the way to quick links, and then I just went to search catalog. Yes, no worries. So yeah, I really want them to take that box and put it at the top. But anyway, I won't talk about that. So, and then I did my little search here, because this will be it will do that as the default, where it will go to the catalog, because most of us would want you to search the catalog. The everything, I really wish we would do something with that everything. But so these little tabs here will let you know if it's available and where it is. And if you get something that says NRLF, that's our National Regional Library Facility, is offsite, is actually in Berkeley. So if you need something from the NRLF, it's not a big deal. Just either shoot me an email or do an ILL to get it. But it's much expedient if you just email me. Say, hey, Melinda, this is at the NRLF. Can you get it for me? I say, yeah, no worries. But to be honest with you, for the most part, you will find a good bit of your content will be online, which is kind of cool. All right, so that is the library's catalog. All right, so now I'm going to close a couple of things here. I'm going to leave this open because you guys know I'm so obsessed with trying to get that alt-metric button to work, but I'm going to come back to that. All right, so we're back here on the page. So now I'm going to show you actually how to get to the guide that I created specifically for ITS. All right, so this is how you would get there. You would come to Browse Subjects. And after you select Browse Subjects, scroll down a little bit, and then look for Engineering and Transportation. And then after you look for Engineering and Transportation, then of course, let me turn that off, then you get to Transportation Studies. All right, so this is the guide that I have created specifically for this course. Ooh, let's move back up here. So this is what I've created from this course. So remember how I talked about the the links. So if you need to download your VPN, you can get it from here. ILL is interlibrary loan request. So we like to call ourselves the power of 10, meaning we have 10 UCs. We're number whatever we are, but we're part of the power of 10. So if you came across a resource that we did not have physically here, and you could request it from interlibrary loan. And what we would do if we don't have it, I would like to think that our UC sister schools will have it. If they don't have it, no worries, we can expand. We're part of a large consortium. We can expand and go outside the UC system. It's no cost to you. You just, when you complete the form, you just need to be specific to tell us where you want your ILL items to go. And if you select that page, this is pretty much what ILL looks like. And you just you just fill out the form. And let me show you, when you request your ILL, I want to log into a request so you can see. So when you fill out an interlibrary loan, depending on the time, they're pretty efficient. It takes them roughly about 24 to 48 hours, depending on what the request is and where we have to go to get it. Now, I always say I'm your first line of defense. Just email me whatever you need. If it's an article or something along that lines, I may have a way of getting it or doing some searching that you may not be cognizant of and where I could get it for you. If that doesn't work, then I say, hey, you know what, I couldn't find that article. I need to go in ILL. So what's the parameters of the time are we looking at? So if you're writing a paper and it's due the next day, that's not going to work. So give us a little time, right? Give us a little time to prepare. Just give us a little time because it normally takes, like I say, about 24 to 48 hours. Now, a caveat for ILL. Let's say you're doing your research and you came across a dissertation. And you have to have this dissertation. Dissertations from the UC system are free because it's UC system. Anything outside of the UC system normally comes with a cost. Just let me know, and I will do my best to get it for you. We will not charge you anything. So if you had a dissertation that you really, really need, like Melinda, I really, really need this, I'll do my best to work it out, and we'll get it for you, okay? So I don't want you to be stressing out, oh, I can't get this because this dissertation is $160 and I really want it. Just let me know and we'll work something out. So that's the only thing that we pretty much incur costs for. So I did want to briefly show you when you actually sign into your request, and I'm going to see if I can sign in right quick so you can see what that looks like. So when you sign into your request, you do not need to have a PIN. I'm hoping they remove that because you don't need a PIN number. You do need to say, okay, where, what's your home campus. So when you complete your interlibrary loan, of course I don't have anything on ILL, so that's why mine is pretty empty, but you would just log in with your, and I don't know where it is, but you would just log in with your UCID, that's the number I use. Don't have a PIN, you don't need that, and then everything will populate for you. So I did just want to show you briefly what ILL looks like. All right, so let's take a look at some other things. So for those of you who are used to doing your research, you probably have databases that they're your go-to databases and you know what they are, so you just go there. Well, if you want an aggregated list of databases, here we have them right here, right? So all you have to do is, if you want Academic Search Complete, you would just select A, and then you would get to Academic Search Complete, Web of Science, Compendex, or whatever database you use. And I'm going to show you some other things on my guide here. So one of the cool things I do like that we did right with the website, we do have a list to search journals by title. So when you're conducting your research, right, you're going to find that there are titles, there are journals where I know I can go to Transportation Studies, and I know they're going to have an article, they're going to have authors there that's synonymous with the work I'm doing. So if you want to look for a specific journal title, if you know the name. So I've been playing around with some, but let's take a look at this one. I'm going to do Transportation Research Record. I just want you to see what that looks like. All right, so we do have it, of course, and it is online. So when that populates, this is what's going to pull up. So let's say you wanted to see how many transportation journals we have. Anybody want to guess? Just take a guess. How many transportation journals do you think we have? And that means journals with transportation in the title. Who wants to guess? Okay, more. More.
100.
More.
200.
More.
500.
Almost. Very, very, very good. So for transportation, the journals that we actually subscribe to, we have 449 journals for transportation. That's just with the title on transportation, right? So this is how you can, like I said, you can figure out what journals we have, and if you know there's a specific journal you want to use, just type it in there or just go straight to it. So a quick question. I know when you're doing your research, right, your professor is going to say, okay, I want to have articles that are peer-reviewed. You can only use journals that are peer-reviewed. What's your process of finding out if an article or a journal actually only publishes peer-reviewed content? What do you guys use? Or what do you do? So you know what peer-reviewed, right? You know what it is, right? So you know what peer-reviewed, of course, it's been vetted to meet academic standards. Some professors are very particular. I want 7 sources, but they've got to come from a peer-reviewed journal. What's your process? Well, moving forward, you don't have to wildly assume anymore. I'm going to show you a journal. It's called Ulrich's, what is it? It's Ulrich's Periodical Directory. I just call it Ulrich's. But this is a surefire way to figure out if a journal is peer-reviewed. All right, so since I'm such a bad typer, and I don't like to type, so let's just cut and paste this. All right, so I am going to go to this particular journal. We got the name of the database, actually. We know the name of the database. So I'm going to, let me get back to my guide. And I'm going to show you the database you can use to actually, it's still thinking, to actually help you decide. It will tell you whether or not the journal you are getting your article from is a peer-reviewed journal. And it's a really neat tool. So I'm just going to scroll down until we get to Find Databases. And I'm going to type in Ulrich, because that's the name of it. All right, and it's more, but I think we can get away. I think we can get away with Ulrich. So let's minimize that a little bit. All right. Let's shrink that a little bit more. Okay, so Ulrich's Periodicals Directory. So this is the interface for Ulrich's. It's very cool, and this will save you a lot of time. That way you will know, oh yeah, I can use this because it is peer-reviewed, because Ulrich said so. Right? All right, so let's put in our journal title here. So I want to see if Transportation Research Record, if it's peer-reviewed. Let's hit our little search here. And let's give it some time to load. All right, so if you take a look here, let's just see. And it is. So this little deal here, this little icon, it tells me that it's refereed. So that means it is peer-reviewed. So this is a way for you to figure out if an article is peer-reviewed or not. You can type it in Ulrich's, and it will tell you whether if it's peer-reviewed. Ironically, they have quite a few transportation journals that are not peer-reviewed. That's okay. Right? And the reason being is because those articles are produced by practitioners. Those are your individuals that are like doing the research right now. The bottom line is peer review is a long process. Depending on the journal, it could take 6 months to 2 years. So after you printed your article, you want it to get in this heavy, high esteemed journal. Their peer review process may be incredibly slow. You could have, God knows, published another article by the time that one gets accepted. So I just said that to say, just because a journal is not peer reviewed, of course, don't negate that research. However, if your professor wants peer reviewed, you need to make sure you give them peer review. All right, so that is a shortcut, Ulrichs, to actually help you figure out if an article is peer reviewed or not. So I'm just going to close out on some of my little gizmos here. All right, so Autumn, how much time do I have? Because I know I'm...
Well, to save time for questions, probably about 25.
Okay, all right, good deal. All right, good deal. All right, so let me close out of this. So let me get back to my guide here. All right, so now I want to show you how some of the searching interfaces look for several databases. And some of you are probably familiar with some of the databases I'm going to show you, and some of you may not be. So let's just take a look here, and I'm going to get to, let's scroll down here. All right, so transportation, here we go, Transportation Research International Documentation. This is a really cool database. It's very unique, and I say that in a way because just the functionality of it and the way it's set up is really unique. All right, and I'm going to just briefly show you that right quick. So let's give it a few minutes to load. How many of you have used Compendex? Okay, no one has used Compendex. Okay, that is a very, very neat and cool database. That's functionality, and just the way it's set up is totally different than any database I've ever used. All right, so this is TRID. All right, so I'm going to do my search, and you guys already know what that's going to be, right? Because this is my search. I just want you to see what the interface looks like for this particular database. So in most databases, which is very odd, but in most databases, your filters are on the left and your articles are on the right. This is a database where it just juxtaposes, it flips everything. But it's okay, right? It's just that this is just how they do things. All right, so these are our hits, and one of the nice things I do like about this database, because most of the findings will be online, let's say I'm interested in this one. I'm just going to select it. The abstract will populate on the right, which is odd because it's normally the other way around, and we will take a look at that. But it populates on the right, and if, of course, we have full text or access to it, we will have the URL and has the DOI already built in there, which is kind of nice. And you just click on it, and it will link to, hopefully it'll link to the full text. This database does a really good job of linking you to full text articles. And like I said, remember how I mentioned earlier how we have the UCE link, so that's going to change to UCD links, as I'm hoping we can see in another database. So of course you get your abstract. I always recommend that when you are using or searching for anything, to make sure that you save it somewhere, email it to yourself, right? Or save it in EndNote or whatever citations tool you use. And I'm going to review briefly the functionality of EndNote. So for those of you who haven't used it or thought about using it, EndNote is a citation management tool that actually the UC, we're the only ones who give you a free license. So I would make use of it. Now, I did have a question asked, well, what happens when you graduate? Well, you know, you kind of don't have access to it, but they're really slow about purging things. So you at least got about a good 2 to 3 months, right, to migrate your content from EndNote to something else. You didn't hear that from me. So, but, you know, so it takes them a little while. So when you're doing your research, I always recommend that please make sure you save, email it to yourself once you find an article, save it, because you don't want to go back and duplicate the wheel. You want to be smart when you're searching. You don't want to work that hard. All right, so something else that I always like to remind students, and I'll see if I can get to it here. When you find, and this is applicable for anybody who's doing any type of research, and a lot of times some students just don't take the time to do so. When you find an article, right, that lends itself perfectly to your research, please look at the references. Because if you find an article that lends itself to your research. You have to vet it, and if it makes sense and if it's applicable, what you're doing, you can use that as a part of your research as well. Students forget about that. Sometimes students don't even take the time to look at the references, but that's why they're there. So take a look at the references. You could save a nice chunk of time if you just only take a look at the references. Sometimes some articles have really, really good references. So I just wanted you to see the searching interface for that particular database. Now I want to move on to Compendex, because Compendex is a very unique database. It is, its design and functionality is nothing like I've ever used before. And it's been around for a while, but it just has a very unique design to it. All right, so let's get to Compendex here. And I apologize, I keep going back to my little guide here, but it's the fastest way, since I'm still learning our new website, right? I'm still learning how that works. So I want you to see the interface for Compendex. And it is an engineering village. So, like I said, mechanical engineering, aerospace, those are my areas, and ITS, so it does a little cross here. But let's put in my search. And you know what it's going to be. All right, so let's do a nice search here on Compendex. So remember in the other database, which is very odd. Oh, no. Yeah, that's nice. Remember in the other database, which is very odd, all of the things that you found was to the right, and then the articles were to the right, and the filters were to the left. This is normally how databases are set up. They just do it in a unique way. All right, so remember we were trying to find the ORCID IDs for authors, right? So sometimes if you just want to see, let's say I'm interested in what Hans is doing, I can just cut and paste Hans' information and just put in ORCID ID and see what he's doing. So, when you're doing your searches, start thinking about using various ways just to find information about certain things that you may be interested in. So this is the interface. One of the nice things I do like about Compendex is that it gives you a controlled vocabulary. Most other databases, they have that feature dialed way down. But I like controlled vocabulary because it gives you words that may be assimilated to your topic, right? And that kind of could help you with your searching. So my search, of course, is traffic flow emissions. So there are other things that I may be interested in. So you have traffic control, vehicles, air quality, air pollution. And then it gives you the number of resources, right, that are synonymous with this topic. So that's one of the nice things I do like about Compendex. All right, so I'm going to select an article so we can see what that looks like. So one thing I do want to bring to your attention, Compendex is not going to give you full text. It is an index database. However, that is why we have the UCD e-links. So if you came across an article that you wanted, stop popping up. You came across an article that you wanted. All you would have to do is find the UCD e-links, and see it's right here at the bottom, and then hopefully that will link you to the full text. If it does not, and you spend some time trying to find it, my rule of thumb is nothing more than 15-20 minutes, then email me, say, hey, Melinda, I just can't find this. I really would like this article. Can you get it for me? And luckily for this one works. So I'm going to go to Elsevier, and hopefully that article will populate. One of the nice things, and it does just nicely, and it populates for you. So that is pretty much how Compendex works. It's a very different functionality, but that's pretty much how that one works. So now I want to show you, let's take a look at Web of Science. We do have some other databases that I would like for you to make sure you look at on that page. But Web of Science is, how many of you have used Web of Science? Okay. Web of Science is one of my favorites, and the reason being is because it's one of the most multidisciplinary databases out there. And the name is very deceiving. I wish they would come up with another snazzier name that means it's more encompassing of some of the resources, because if you just hear Web of Science, you may just think that it's Web of Science. But before I actually get to Web of Science, let's see here. I want to show you something else. So let me get back to my little guide here. And I want you to take a look at Mobilis. That is another pretty cool database as well. And then we're going to get Web of Science. I want to say Web of Science last because Web of Science actually owns EndNote, and that way you can actually migrate your resources to EndNote pretty seamlessly from Web of Science. Other databases have the citation tool exporting that you can use, but it's more seamless from Web of Science, of course, because they own it. All right, so let's take a look at SAE Digital. Now, this is another really good database for that you can use to get resources. And let's see if it's thinking, why is this so slow today? Maybe because it's Friday. It's just very slow. So any questions so far about some of the things that I've, shown you? I definitely want you to see the interface for Mobilis because it's very colorful and unique, and they've done a really good job of trying to make things a little bit more seamless. Now, one thing that I find very interesting about this database, this is one of the few databases that does this, but they do. If you take a look, I'm going to do a search so you guys know what my search is. Okay, so did it just disappear? What happened to it? All right. So one of the things that this database particularly does, it will filter the results into subscribe and non-subscribe content. Just so you would know, subscribe basically, of course, subscribe content is all the content that you will have access to because that's what we pay for. This is one of the few databases that they will also give you the content that's non-subscribed, the things that we don't pay for. So if you just had to search and you were looking at this database and you came across some non-subscribed content that you wanted, just contact me and say, hey, Melinda, can I get such and such article? You guys don't have it because it's under the non-subscribe. That's okay. Just let me know, and I will do my best to go ahead and get it for you. Like I said, this is one of the few databases that actually they give their results in subscribed and unsubscribed. But they have really good content. That's just how they tend to do things, right? So that's how they have that laid out. And I do like this database because 99 chances out of 100 you will get full text. It will render the full text for you, which is a nice feature. All right, so now let's go to Web of Science, because Web of Science is going to take a little bit because I want to show you how you can export things to EndNote. And I would recommend that you try EndNote because it is free and it will save you a lot of headache and hassle when you're doing your research. So I think it is a really good tool to use. All right, so let's see here. Let me get to EndNote. Actually, let's go back here. Here we go. Let's go here first. All right, so let's take a look at Web of Science. For those of you who have used it, you already know what the searching interface is. One of the nice things about Web of Science, we do pay for the core collection. If you wanted to separate your search, right, and if you wanted to search other areas, you could. I would just highly recommend that you leave it at all databases. That way you can get hits, you can get a more relevant set of hits. I'm just going to change my years. I'm just going to change the filters here because I know I don't want content all the way back to then. Let's say I want to take a look at 2011 and 2017. And you know what my search is going to be. All right, and I'm going to hit search. So I just want you to see how Web of Science, how they actually retrieve things. And as you take a look here, they actually have the UCD links, e-links working there. So that's a nice surprise. All right, so Some people, depending on when they're doing their research, this is one of the few databases that will actually sort your retrievals by citation hits. Some people, that's important. Remember, I briefly talked about that earlier. If you don't want to do that, but if you did, I'm going to come up here to publication date, and you see the little drop down. You can see where it says time sorted, highest to lowest. And you can change it there. So it will actually sort, right, from the number of times it's been cited. It'll cite that for you. It'll rank that for you from the highest to the lowest. Some people may find this functionality useful. Some may not care. So it just depends. So I wanted you to see how you could do that. And all you have to do is come here. And like I said, you can change it time cited here. All right. So let's take a look at a couple of things. So let's say I am interested in these articles. Now, one thing to remember about Web of Science, it is not a full-text database. It is an index database. That's why the UCD links resolver is so prominent, because if we have it and it just automatically selected that for me, it will link you to the full text if you select that link. So, and hopefully in most instances, we hope that the full text is there. All right, so another thing, that is how that works. So I'm going to go through and do a couple of things here. I'm going to highlight a couple of things for the sake of time. And I want to show you how Web of Science works. Actually how EndNote works. How many of you use EndNote? Okay, so for those who don't use EndNote, EndNote is a lifesaver. Like I said, because we pay for the license, it will actually help you to manage your citations and you can share them. So I'm going to actually show you a couple of quick features in EndNote. And if moving forward, if you guys would like for me to do a class using EndNote so it could be a little bit more in depth, I'd be willing to do that. Just shoot me an email and let me know. All right, so I'm going to just grab a couple of articles here, and I just want to migrate them over to my EndNote. So I'm going to select EndNote Online. So now you see where you have EndNote Online and EndNote Desktop. You can access both of those for free. EndNote Online is my preference, and the only reason because you can access it 24/7. Okay, so if you decide to do EndNote Desktop, the downloading process is a little bit more tedious. However, it gives you much more of a functionality, because what you could do, you can actually, it will actually set up your Word document to include your references and citations. It will do all of that hard work for you, but you can't do that with the EndNote Online. You can only do that with the EndNote Desktop. So, if you guys want me to show you that in a class, I'd be willing to do that as well. So I'm going to go EndNote Online, because this is what my preference is. All right, so I'm going to try to type in my password here. Let's see how successful this is going to be. All right, and what is my password for EndNote? You have to write down all these things because I just never remember. It's really sad. But you have all these passwords. It's like, oh my gosh, like what is the password for that? It's really bad. And you don't want to use the same password for everything, right? Because they tell you not to do that. All right, so let's see if that will work. All right, so no, it did not. All right, so let's try this again. All right. All right. Yep, that's right. All right, so let's see here. Let's see if that's going to work. All right, so it will tell you, I remember I highlighted 4 articles I want to export to my EndNote. So I'm going to hit the drop down because I want all of the information. I want the author, I want the title, and I want the source, and I want the abstract. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to hit send. So it's telling me that I am going to get 4 records migrated to my EndNote account. So let's let it do its little thing. All right, there we go. So now I'm done, right? I am done searching. I'm done looking for articles in Web of Science. So now I need to go to EndNote because I want to take a look at those articles. So it's my EndNote web.com. And I do have this information on the guide that I've been going back and forth. All right, so this is what the EndNote looks like. One of the nice things about EndNote is that you can manage your content and you can share your EndNote library with others, which a lot of people find that to be very useful. So as you can see, I have 4 unfiled resources, right? Well, remember, I just exported these 4 articles from Web of Science over to EndNote. So now I have these 4 articles. All right, and okay, so I'm really not interested in looking at them right now. So what I want to do is create a folder. I want to create a folder so that I can have that folder be specific to my traffic flow emissions research. So what you can do to create a folder, you can just come up to Organize. And once you select Organize, you can come over here, and I'm going to select a new group. Just going to type in traffic flow emissions. Because this is the name of that research that I just got exported. So I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now I see it's there, traffic flow emissions. Okay, so now I can go back to my references. And those articles that I pulled in, I'm actually going to put those in that particular folder. So let's go to the list of my articles here. And I have some other articles that I have in here as well. So the 4 that I pulled, oh, perfect. All right, so what I want to do, I want to move all of these, and you could just select all. I want to put all of these into that folder I just created. So you just highlight it, you go to Add to Group, and Traffic Flow Emissions. So now I know when I log back into my EndNote, I know, okay, these are all of the articles. I put them in a specific folder so I don't have to worry about where they are, what happened to them. So let's say I wanted to share this folder with other people in my group. Hey guys, I took the lead. I went and found some articles we can use. I'm going to share this with you. All you would have to do is go back up to the top. Let's go back to Organize, Manage My Groups. And I'm going to select, and because I'm always working with automotive students, I do a lot of searches on autonomous driving and some highway infrastructure, so that's why you see those tabs there. I really do have some good stuff in there. All right, so let's go back here, and I want to share this, right, with a couple of people that I've been working on this project. So what I'm going to do, get their email addresses. So you come here to hit Start Sharing with this group, and then just type in their email addresses. All right, and let's see, let's do this. So now I can actually apply this, and and it will tell you, it will definitely tell you how you can put in your email addresses, right? It will tell you. So it could be very, very specific. Let's see, did I do it right this time? What is it doing here? That's it. Thank you. So yeah, see, it will be very, it will tell you, okay, so let me get rid of that. Let me see if that is going to do it. So, because it will let you know whether or not, okay, hey, okay, well, maybe I do need to put my comma here. Yeah, but that is part of, that's part of the email account. But now, let's see, because that is kind of good to know if it's not going to take that Gmail account. And it may not. Wow, well, isn't that interesting? All right. All right, so let's see here. Could not be updated because your email address and email address. And please. Yeah, but the problem is you should be able to email it to your UC Davis.
I don't think there is an @3gmail. Just gmail.com, right?
So that's what, thank you. So that's probably what it is. All right, so let's try that again, right? Let's try that again. All right, so let's see. I bet you it's juxtaposed because even if I do, it should take it. All right. I tell you, mmlivers3@gmail. All right, so now let's see. mmlivers3. Huh? Oh, I see. I got you. Oh, my gosh. I can't see it. Okay. mmlivers3@gmail.com. So let's see if this is going to work. So let's see. Is it going to tell me anything? Well, it should work. All right, so let's see here. Let me come back here. I am not sure why this is not working. Oh, no, I don't need you to be smaller. That's why I can't see it now. Jeez. Could not update it because your email address is in the email address list. Okay, all right. So maybe you might be. So let me take it off. Maybe that might be it. All right. I don't know. What other email can I use? Let's try something else then. I just want to see if it's going to take. Right? All right. So, what did I do? Let me go back to Mozilla. Come on, open back up for me. All right, there we go. All right, so now let me see if it's going to take it now. Because normally when it takes your email, oh well. What should happen, right, is that it will tell you you have 2 emails that actually went to the group. So I must be doing something terribly wrong here. I'm not getting it to work. But that's how you can share your folders with your other EndNote compadres. Actually, it's a really good tool to use. I do use EndNote a lot to save content because it's free. We have a license for it, and why not? All right, so any questions? Oh, before I end, you guys know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? Right, I want to see if what is going on with my alt metrics. Why is it not? Well, you see, I am obsessed with this because I really want this to work. So, and it's just not working. It just does not want to work. And the article is just, I don't know why it just does not want to work. So I'm going to try it one more time. So while I am working through my obsession here, do you all have any questions? Yes.
What about hard copy holdings at the
Mm-hmm.
library? Is there a way to check if they are available, or how many copies do you have, or do we have to actually go there, look through the shelves, and then determine?
Right. So what you have to do, always use the catalog. Right. The catalog will definitely tell you if we have the hard copy and where they're located. But, and then it will give you a call number. So instead of me just talking, let me just see. Let me just show you. All right, so I'm going to close out some of my little things here. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So some things, depending on what you need, you will have to physically come to the library. So remember, you come all the way down to get to the catalog. And one thing about the catalog, right, if we have it, it will tell you where it's located, and it will tell you what library it's located, and would give you the exact location of where it is located. All right, so let's just see if we can find something right quick that I could give you that example. Because remember, okay, so here's a good example. If you wanted this book, you really needed this book, you would have to physically come to the library to get it. And this is the call number. It's in our general collection, so it's easy to access. And if you don't know the layout of the library, we have maps all over. And then you can always stop at the info desk. They could give you a map or find me, and I could show you where it is. But the call number will let you know exactly where it is. And if we didn't have it, let's say if this book was checked out, it would say it's due back. It it would be a gray color. It would not be green. It would be gray, and it would say it's checked out and it's due back, I don't know, June the 20th. So now let's say it's due back June the 20th, but you really, really, really need it. We could contact the person who's holding it and just see if we can get it from them sooner. But if they still need it and they said, no, I still need it till June 20th, and you really need it, we will find another way. We'll find another means to get it. Maybe we can get it, do an ILL from another library, or maybe we can try something else. Yes? No. So for those of you who've been here for a little while, you may or may not know. So how many items do you think you can actually check out Shields Library at 1 quarter? If you had to put a number on it, what would you think that it would be? More? 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 Oh, you're getting there. You can actually check out 300 items per quarter. Yeah. Yes, we were not going to help you carry them to your location, but yeah, you could check out up to 300 items. Yes, so yeah, we try to provide some good resources for you. But yeah. You can request for anything you want. It could be a book. I mean, it could be, I don't know, a manuscript. It could be anything. And in ILL, they're really good about trying to get it for you in an expeditious way. So we know you need it. You're requesting it, so you must really need it, right? So we try to make sure we get it for you in a timely manner. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, you showed us how to
Uh-huh.
Web of Science.
Right.
How would we know if we
From another database? That is a good question. All right, so let's take a look. Most of the databases, okay, let's see if I can get out of this. Most of the databases will have that functionality where it will let you export from the database to, so we won't do Web of Science because we know Web of Science has that. Now, ironically enough, Compendex is a little funky with theirs. And let me see if I still have a Compendex open. So the best thing to do when you take a look at something from Compendex, I would just definitely just save the link because it is a SFX resolver where it's going to give you the full text. It's not going to allow you to export it. So just save the full text. So let me show you in some databases. Let's take a look at another multidisciplinary database that I'm sure I have on my guide. And I'll show you what that looks like. Because other databases will definitely have that option for you to export and using some of the other tools. Oh my gosh, no, let's go back. I'm too small as it is. All right. All right, so here we go. All right, so let me show you another multidisciplinary database that I have on here. Is actually, remember we talked about Scopus for the idea, Academic Search Complete. This is an EBSCO database. And of course, what's going to be my search, right? And I will show you the exporting tool. All right, so I'm going to do full text. One thing about this database, it will definitely tell you whether or not, if you want to retrieve full text, you can. So you can just select full text. And for this particular database, it will tell you whether or not the content is scholarly peer-reviewed. So there is a difference between scholarly content, of course, and peer-reviewed content. All peer-reviewed content is scholarly, but all scholarly content is not peer-reviewed, right? So just remember that. All right, so I'm going to do a search. And then I'm going to show you how that works. And like I said, some of the databases, so let's just try traffic flow since it doesn't have anything. Some of the databases will actually All right, so it doesn't like that. So let's try it again. Some of the databases will actually have that functionality. So let's do traffic congestion, since it looks like they're going to have a good bit of hits on traffic congestion. It didn't like my search for traffic flow. All right, so let's scroll down here. So I'm going to select this article. So this database is a little different because once you're done with your search, you can actually, let's say you're interested in this article, you can scroll over the magnifying glass, the abstract will pop up, so you can figure out, hey, I really do want this, all right? So if once you decide that, you can select it in the folder. So I'm just gonna add a couple of things to the folder. So now I am done with this search. So all you have to do is come up to the folder. And once you come up to the folder, this is where you can actually export your sources. So I'm going to hit select because I want select all, and I'm going to come over to export. So EBSCO databases actually gives you several ways several citation tools you can export to. As you see, EndNote would be number one because that's what we have the free license for. So that's actually number one. There are others. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with RefWorks and EasyBib. A lot of the students do like to use RefWorks and EasyBib. So I'm just going to hit save, and that's how you can actually export it from some other databases to EndNote. So it does give you that functionality. And see, it will say number of records imported is 3 because I selected 3. So and most of the databases will have that, so you can export. If they don't, and they just may have the share button, so remember that TRID database I showed earlier, they didn't have that exportation functionality, so just save it. Just send it, put it in an email, and just save the full text, because that is a full text database. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, because the EndNote has two real functions you're talking about. One is just collecting the full text, but also then managing citations. So I guess
Right.
I'm interested in more of the desktop application
Oh, okay.
of managing citations as well, but what I'm understanding is
Right.
in others.
You're going to have to
do the hard work.
Exactly. Now, like I said, for the desktop, it will give you a little bit more functionality because you can actually save it where you can put it in your paper.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Okay.
Is the sort of interface for the desktop version?
It is. It is. It's very similar. So let me show you on my page. Let me see if I can get to my page. Let me open up another browser here. Because if you are going to be brave, do you use EndNote or you haven't?
No, but I know
Okay.
it should be.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, everybody in this room should be using some citation management tool to save your work. Because you want to work smart, right? And you want to just build a profile of all the resources that you find. All right, so let me show you on my page, and I do apologize for always going back here, but since I'm still learning our new website, this is the fastest way that I can actually get to my research guide for you guys. Let's go to transportation studies, and if you come here, I do have a tab that says EndNote and citing sources, and this actually walks you through, if you decide, right, if you decide that you want to do the desktop, these are the steps, and if you decide you want to do the web, then that's the link. The EndNote, if you don't want to do it in the cloud, if you don't want to have access to the web part, the desktop is the way to go. And to be honest with you, most grad students prefer the desktop. Most undergrads prefer the web, right? So it just depends on what you want to do and how in-depth you want to be with EndNote. I think it's a really good tool. I mean, we're paying for it. So you're getting it for free, so you might as well use it. Like I said, I do recommend when you graduate to take that content and move it to something else because you will lose it, but it takes them a while to purge. So just keep that in mind. All right, so any other questions? Yes?
So we started with the library catalog.
Uh-huh.
I guess my question is, what's the difference between doing a search on that and then pulling all these other data?
Well, because I just wanted you to see what you could get with the catalog. The catalog is going to show you holistically what we actually have in our buildings. The tangible aspect of finding the book or the resources in our building.
So it's not including just things
It does have things that you have access to online. It shows you all of that. I just wanted you to see if you had to find, let's say you were looking for a specific book, right? And you need to find that book, the catalog is the way to go. But I also recommend, because sometimes looking at the catalog, if you know you don't want a book, and if you know you don't physically need to come to the library, use the guide. Because if you know you're going to be, and when I say the research guide, that is what I have been going back and forth to.
So I get that, but then my question, the reason for that is, if I could just enter it in one place like Google Scholar, why do I need to go to 4 different other databases? Is there one that's like, is the catalog going to give you the overarching
No,
results? Okay.
no.
So you just have to go to different databases.
Exactly. So, and once you do your search, right, you will become more comfortable with a database over the other, and then you'll know, you may find Compendex is the way to go, right? And then you may just go straight to Compendex and then do your search. So the key is to find that one or two that you're going to feel comfortable with, that's going to yield you the results that you're looking for.
Is there an end goal eventually of having
I would like to think there is, but because we subscribe to so many that have so many vast resources, it just depends on what your preference is. For transportation, the database that I tend to use mostly is the Compendex, and sometimes IEEE, so depending on what you're looking for. So that's why I wanted you to see the catalog so you can see what we physically have. But if you know you're going to be off campus and you're going to be searching from home, use the guide. Use this guide right here, and then just search for, like I said, find that particular database that you know is going to be your go-to database. This is where I can find most of my information. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Because you want to make it so that it's easy, and that's the whole reason why we created the guide, so you can just find resources right there. So you may find that SAE Mobilis is the database for you. So it just depends. I guess that's why we have so many. So any other questions? Any concerns? All right, so I'm hoping the main takeaway, guys, if you get stuck doing any type of research, please don't spin your wheel trying to find something. Just shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you. And if I can't find it, I have enough resources where we'll be able to find it. All right, so that's all I have. If you guys don't have any more questions. Thank you.